in?
I think we haven't put any money back in the way of marketing. I'll tell you, in New York, where I wrote the law, really, the slot law, knowing that the racetrack owners are greedy, I put in there that they had to spend 10% of the slots revenue on marketing. So in New York, by law, you have to spend 10% of the slots revenue has to be spent on marketing. So think about what we're spending on marketing for the casino. Even a little track like Tioga spends $6 million on marketing. I think that in a perfect world, if we had, didn't have the kind of horsemen leaders that we have in the States that are awful, to be honest with you. I mean, you would think that if there's $500 million going for purses, right, between New York we get 100 million, I think Pennsylvania it's 150 million, so you add up what Delaware gets, and now Ohio and Indiana. If common sense would say, let's take 5% of it and hire the smartest marketing person we can and set up a marketing office and use that money purely for marketing. Give cars away, go on TV, try to hook up with a TV channel that would do, Friday night at the races from 10 to 11 o'clock or Saturday night, and try to get all our major races on TV, just to show you how pathetic it is. I met with the people from CBS. They have their own sports network now, and and I said, would you, because they did the Hamiltonian, I said, would you televise our other races? And they said, yeah, we'll televise your other races. They gave me a real cheap deal, and I went out to try to raise the money, because it's probably $100,000 for a night to have an hour and a half of TV. And you would think in Pennsylvania, we asked them, they have that big night of races there. I forget what are those races called. What? No, they have their own little, it's a major stakes in PA, like at Pocono. Not that. The big, Battle of Brandy, all that stuff. I mean, the major races, right? I said, would you guys put up $100,000 and we'll put it on TV? You know how much that would cost them, that $100,000, what works out to be? It's $50 a race. In order for them to do that, they would have to reduce their purses by $50. Think about it. And I don't think they're going to do it, because they don't want to spend $50 a race to try to promote their big night of racing. Everybody markets. I mean, there's no industry that doesn't spend money on marketing if they're trying to attract customers. That's just the way it is. You can watch television, watch these internet stuff, watch your computer. There's all kinds of things popping up all the time. So we've got to spend some money. I guess I don't know what the racetracks look like here, but they've got to be modernized, because if you have track like Woodbine can never be successful as a racetrack. It's too big, and we're racing, where you can't even see the horses. That's a guaranteed non-starter. You cannot get people to come to a facility like Woodbine, because they're just going to realize they're in an empty building. And the one good thing about the Meadowlands is that it's got an energy to it now. If you go there on a Saturday night, it feels like it used to be when you went to Roosevelt Raceway back in the day, or even the Meadowlands back in the day, because I shrunk it to the size that you have for the industry today. Woodbine was built for a completely different era. So I think one thing is to try to sit down, if you're serious about it, and figure out how do you build a racetrack for this era, because Woodbine is not a racetrack for this era, and it's not cheap. But in the long run, I don't know how you can survive at an empty racetrack. Well, if it doesn't end with a casino at the Meadowlands. It's going to really be an unhappy ending. Because I'll be honest with you, I mean, you know, I'm not lying. I mean, my customers are old at the Meadowlands. Then I'm not, these, you know, you wouldn't believe this, but there's one guy who comes occasionally on Thursday night, when we race on Thursday night, with 3 friends. They bet $60,000. Everybody else in the whole place only bets $120,000. So on the nights that he doesn't come, my handle's $120,000. On the nights he comes, it's $180,000. Those guys are hard to replace. Now, the other problem I have is, you know, there are people that are betting with you know, these, I don't know if they're offshore, but these rebate shops. Now, we use rebates also, but, you know, it's a little frustrating that there are people that are friends of mine that come to the Meadowlands and never put a bet in at the Meadowlands. They sit on a phone or an iPad betting on my product, watching it, and I get little or nothing from it. And I don't know whether to just throw them out. I really don't know what the answer is. You know, whoever invented this idea of sending your signal out for 3%, that was a catastrophic mistake back in the day, because it makes no sense. You know, I know a guy in Ohio who has his own little rebate thing. He has a computer in Oregon. He handles $100 million, and he said, I just look to make 1%. I make $1 million a year. Think about it. He just needs to make 1%. So he rebates everything except 1%. You know, but in answer to your question, I don't know exactly. I think, you know, like we have to see, is there a you know, I think you got to get on TV. I think like poker got on TV. I think if we could somehow get on TV and create the kind of characters that are around the racetrack. Look at these reality TV shows. If you watch them, they're awful. I mean, if you think about it, we are far more interesting than the wives of New York City. You know what I mean? And yet the wives of New York City is what you're watching on TV. But I haven't. You got to ask me in a while. You know, I'm waiting for the weather to get nice, to tell you the truth, because we opened in the middle of November. The place is beautiful. Everyone who comes there, and I have someone, Jason usually, every person who sits down in the dining room, either Jason or myself, if I'm there, we will walk over and say, is everything okay? Every person.
I've never been. I'm going to come.
Every person in the dining room will have someone from management walk over to them and say, is everything okay? Every person who books a skybox, who comes with a group of people, will either have Jason or I come and ask him, is everything okay? I mean, go to WEG. Are they going to have anybody walking around asking if everything's okay? Of course not. You know, but it's my money. So, you know, I'm not a nonprofit. I am a nonprofit, but I'm trying to avoid that. But, you know, customer service, vital. People come and you know they're going to lose. I lose, right? I bet, and I rarely win. And certainly people going into a casino, they all lose. I mean, yeah, someone hits a jackpot now and then, but if you're going to be successful in the casino business, you want to have extraordinary customer service. Because when someone's coming to your facility and they know they're going to walk out of there losing $50, they sure as hell want someone to bring them a drink, bring them a free cup of coffee, say, hi, how are you, Mrs. Jones? I'm glad you're back. We give out, you know, we keep track of every customer. So the bigger customers get more free stuff from us. Free lunch, free this. You know, I have concerts there. You know, we lose money on the concerts intentionally, believe it or not, because I want to be able to have people say, you know, this guy Gural is a good guy. This concert was phenomenal and it cost me $20. And knowing that my neighbor down the road would charge him $50 for the concert. And half the people in the concert are free. My best customers, I give them a free ticket. I give a huge amount of money to charity up at my casinos. And that, you know, I bet, I mean, I'm in a poor community, and the people there collectively lose $60 million. And I guarantee you, I'm the most popular person in the community. That's the truth. And you would say, that makes no sense. But, you know, we give back. When there's a concert, I introduce the act myself. I thank the people for coming. You know, it's customer service, which you rarely get at a racetrack. You know, you just, like at Saratoga, NYRA just raised the price of admission. You know, that's their theory of how to do better. I don't know. Well, they're not totally lost, because what you have is younger people like the table games and poker. They don't like the slot machines. But the slot machines is what pays the bills. So you're correct, Harold. They are all scratching their heads, as am I, because if you look at my customers in the casino, they're all old. But the younger people are actually at the racetrack in my facilities. Look, it's a new world out there. These kids, you know, if I want to talk to my granddaughter, I text her. And I don't call her. She doesn't answer the phone. I mean, it's just the way it is. And you sit there with these kids, and I don't care where you are. It's like, you know, they're just like this. You know, you know, that's the way they've been raised, and that's what, you know, and obviously, you know, we're running a product that, you know, you make a bet every 20 minutes or something like that. We've tried to speed it up at the Meadowlands, but you worry about your you know, export, you know, being screwed up if you do that. We tried, you know, we got in trouble the other, you know, we tried to ask the drivers for their comments. Joe Bongiorno got himself in trouble. But frankly, I backed Joe Bongiorno immediately. I called the judges and I said, look, all this kid did was tell the truth. And that's all I care about. I want these drivers to tell the truth. He told the truth, and don't crucify him for it. He should have made it clear that he was trying to win. If, you know, 4 horses fell down, he would have won the race. But he didn't exactly say it that way. You know, but we've got some of the drivers, Jody, I think, does it. They tweet. We put the tweets up there. I mean, I find it very beneficial. On the same token, it's risky, because, you know, you put a microphone in front of somebody and you say, well, what do you think? And the guy says, I'm going to race this horse from behind tonight and get what I can. And then the horse leaves, wires the field and pays $40, and everybody is outraged. So it's, you know what I mean? Obviously, a driver might look over and say, gee, no one left. I think I'll leave. But, you know, it's, which I don't have the answer. I do know that we will find out if a gorgeous, cool building is part of the answer, because that we will know by Hamiltonian Day, because once the warmer weather comes, hopefully we'll get people to come outside. We're spending a lot of money on the outdoor portion of the facility that hasn't been built yet. We're going to have a stage and an outdoor barbecue pit and all kinds of stuff for young people. So we'll see, but you know, whether they're going to bet or not, probably not. But maybe if enough of them come. I only projected that my live handle would go up like 15%. I said, it's got to go up 15%. Place is gorgeous, the other place is a dump. One of the things that hurts me is that that at the Meadowlands, things had gotten so bad that the truth is the only customers that we had left were people that were not the kind of people you'd want to spend the day with. You know, we really ran the good customers out of the place, and it's a problem. When you walk through there, and I walk through there, and I say to myself, oh, would someone come here with their girlfriend? Would they come back? You know, because they're walking through a crowd of people that they would not ordinarily, you know, be with. I don't know. I'm doing whatever I can do, and how it plays out, you know. Well, that's why I put that rule in that made the 4-year-old horses race. And I remember calling up the guys at WEG and begging them. I said, do this, force this Some Beat Somewhere to come back and race next year. And I said to the guy, let me ask you a question. When he races at your track, what happens? He said, when he races at the track, the attendance goes up by 4 times. I said, oh, okay. So wouldn't it be in your best interest to have him come back next year and race 15, 20 times up your track? That'd be great, Jeff, but we can't do that. I said, why? Well, can't do that to the breeders. I said, what do you care about the breeders? They don't care about you. You know, you're running a business to put people in the seats to develop fan base. Why are you worried about the breeders? And then we listened to all the nonsense that the 4-year-olds couldn't compete with the older horses. And that was just nonsense, because we saw last year the 4-year-olds, they did fine against the older horses. Hopefully Captain Treacherous will capture the imagination, but not like Some Beat Somewhere up here. Got to remember, the sport is much more popular here than in America. Much more popular. The crowds you got when Some Beat Somewhere raced at Mohawk, far greater than I'll ever get for Some Beat Somewhere racing. But it was like pulling teeth with the WEG guys, and then finally they just went along, I guess, because they got tired of hearing it. But I honestly think that you're going to see one of the good things about the breeding industry in trouble is you'll see these older horses race, whether it's Jeff Gural telling them to race or the market conditions telling them to race. I think we'll see the older horses racing, and hopefully we'll see the 2-year-olds racing less, because that's not helping anyone. Nobody cares about the 2-year-olds. But it's tempting when you can put on a $500,000 race and put up $50,000, and the other $450,000 comes from the horses that are nominated and all the other nonsense. But it's not good for the game. And hopefully, I'm really hopeful that because we have the Breeders' Crown this year in November at the Meadowlands, that'll get people out, and that our big days will be really big. Because I got news for you. To show you how bad it was, like the Meadowlands pace probably didn't get as many people as they used to get on a Tuesday night at the Meadowlands 15 or 20 years ago. I mean, that's how far down we've come. And the other part is, the owners love to sit home and watch it on a computer. And we built this beautiful club, for those of you who haven't been there, which is very popular, and hopefully that's going to continue to get owners to come out and be able to bring other people who would want to be owners. Now at least you have a place to go where you feel like you're really in a high class place. So I've thrown everything at it that I can think of, to be honest. It seems logical that there would be potential, but whenever it's been tried, the handle doesn't justify it. Like odd even, something as simple as odd even. I haven't. We've actually got, I think, permission from the Racing and Wagering Board to do whatever you call it, a bet where you don't, like the lottery, where they give you the ticket. But what it works in Sweden. They have that V75, but if you go to Sweden, because I know Jason just came back, and harness racing is all over the newspapers. There are kiosks everywhere that you can buy a V75 ticket. Every newspaper has stories about harness racing. Obviously, it's just the opposite here. So, I think if I had money, I'm going to put some of my own money into marketing, because I think I have to be more on TV than I am. Because like 2 weeks ago, I was there on a Friday night, and we had two parties of about 15 people, having a great time. I walked in, and both people said to me, "Oh, we went to the old building. I didn't know you built a new building." And that's awfully discouraging, because people are live 5 miles from the place. And yet, with all the money we've spent, and we had some, we were on TV with the grand opening and stuff, and here you have, people saying, I didn't know you had a new building. Now, it may be that we just got to grind it out, and that word of mouth is going to be what's going to, save us. I know this weekend we have more parties booked than we did last weekend, because truthfully, that's the key for me is food and beverage and parties. And people love it, but I used to go to the track 3 nights a week when I was a kid, and I think that people love it. But they ain't going 3 nights a week the way we used to. And I think that the horse shortage will work in our favor, because I think that'll bring racing down to a level where it'll be more of an event than it is now. I mean, to me, racing 52 weeks a year is a guaranteed failure. I mean, think about it. Everybody's ready for opening day in baseball, right? Even me. So I'm going to go to opening day at the Mets. I know they're terrible. Probably be the only game I go to all year. And before you know it, it'll be July or August, and I'm thinking about football. Or just like the last 2 weeks, everybody's talking about the Final Four. That's the big thing. And then in another week or two, it'll be the Masters. And then a week after that, it's going to be the Kentucky Derby. Will be a big deal. But in our game, it's just a grind. It's just, there's racing every weekend, every week, 52 weeks a year. The only tracks that are successful, let's be honest, are Saratoga. They race 6 weeks. Keeneland has a 3-week meet and a 2-week meet, and Del Mar. They're the only tracks in America that are successful, that have a large customer base. So, racing 52 weeks, and yet that's what the horsemen want. I remember growing up, and Roosevelt and Yonkers, and they used to close for the winter, and everybody would turn the horses out, and you couldn't wait for Roosevelt to open up again in March or April. Now it's just nobody turns a horse out. So when I think about it, if I were you guys, you know what I would say to the government? I would say, we want you to put in the law that 5% of it has to go to marketing. Put that in the law. Because that was the one mistake I made in New York with the horsemen. I didn't put it in the law. I put the 10% in. Now I spend money at Tioga and Vernon, but I'm a horse guy, you know what I mean? But the biggest mistake I made was I should have put in there that 5% of the money has to go to marketing. And if I had put that in there, it would have made all the difference in the world. But I didn't. And now you have the leaders there who look at you like, well, why should we spend our money for marketing? Well, let the track owner spend his money. And I try to explain to them, okay, if I spend $1 million for marketing the casino, it's going to generate $5 million in casino revenue. And of that $5 million, you get 10%. You're getting $500,000. If I spent the same $1 million marketing the racetrack, I'll get the handle up by, $5,000 a night, or $10,000 multiplied by 60, because that's a lot. My handle at Tioga is $40,000. So if I said I'll get it up 25%, that's decent, but that's only $10,000. So 10,000 times 60 days is $600,000. We would get 10% of that. We'd only get 60,000. So we're better off letting the casino spend their money on the casino marketing. We should spend our own money. We shouldn't wait for somebody else to bail you out. So you should tell the politicians, we want a provision in there that X% has to go to marketing. That'll work.